Violence! Doom was developed by id Software in 1993, and to this day, it is the most influential first-person shooter. It's amazing, okay? Doom doesn't really have a story. All you do is go around and kill things, kill. You see dead bodies everywhere, you shoot holes through demons, and you run around trying not to die.
Playing the game, you choose what chapter you're going to be playing and what difficulty you play as, where he does make fun of you and push you to play even more violently with Ultra Violence or Nightmare Mode. Do not get me wrong, this is an old game. The mechanics are janky. It's hard to move around as fluidly as recent first-person shooters. And you cannot look up or down on the y-axis, which makes aiming very difficult. So I thought you had to be in front of the demon to kill them, but that was wrong. You just have to be just at a distance. You don't even have to be directly in front of them. At distance, if they're in the line of sight, they will get shot and die, even if they're way above your gun, which is crazy. Well, and also, you have to keep in mind, the amount of technology that went behind making this game was immense. Like, this was in the 90s, right? I don't know how they made this game. So I may criticize the mechanics of this game, and it's hard to move around, hard to look around, doesn't make sense where your shots go. But this, for that time period, was great and revolutionary. The level design is quite fair. You go around in a dark area with a bunch of things shooting at you, and there's just a bunch of blood everywhere and dead bodies. That's perfect for Doom, a game about killing. Once you get to the end of a level and kill a bunch of demons, you press the button and you're encountered with a recap screen of the percent of demons you've killed and the items. I never got to finish the Doom from 2016 because I got stuck at this really weird tower level, but this game feels so familiar. All the mechanics are just a fast-paced shooting action, the progressively gaining more guns, the demons just being in front of your face. And again, specifically just how fast the game is, that has been continuous throughout the series. And playing this game just made me feel back in my high school days, back in when I was playing Doom 2016. It just felt like the same, but with worse graphics and more clunky mechanics. And this time, you cannot punch a hole through a demon. But also very deeply entranced in the game. I loved this game. It was so fun. You just go around, run around very fast, and you just kill things. But it was really exciting and invigorating. And then I can see my health bar get depleted. I can see my armor get low. I started to have to get conservative with my shots. I had to just start peeking around to make sure I didn't die. This allowed for a very fun gaming experience. As you watch me get killed by a lot of demons, I found this mechanic really interesting, where if you look at Doom Guy, you can see him progressively, his face gets more beat up and bloody the more you take damage from demons. Right now he has bloodshot eyes. The next hit I'll take from a demon will just get even worse. Unfortunately, I'm a pro gamer, so it's going to take a while for you to see me get worse. There we go, he's getting worse. So the most interesting thing about Doom, though, is the fact that it gets rid of story. By getting rid of story, it allows you to focus on the game, which is just killing things. You get a lot of joy out of killing things too. Sometimes when I just get stuck in a level because the demons keep killing me and haunting me, I get mad, right? But when I get to kill them, it feels so good, you know? It's like, yes, I accomplished something. I killed something, you know? And that's the point of Doom, to bring you joy out of killing things. Getting rid of story lets you focus on just that and having fun doing just that. I personally love playing games such as the Doki Doki Literature Club. I have a great emphasis on just the story itself, but this game was very fun to play. What really made this game special, as I've been saying many times, is the violence. Now, compared to today's violent shooting games, this doesn't seem like too much because the graphics are pretty bad and it's not as realistic. But for back in the 90s, I think back in the 90s, like, this must have been crazy, right? You must have parents furious. So I wanted to see how parents and people in general thought about Doom back in the 90s, so I did some digging and stumbled upon this review. And I want to focus on one specific line. Don't bother with Doom if on-screen violence sends you screaming to a Senate subcommittee. As I've said, the biggest part of Doom is the violence, but along with the violence that Dooms bring is a debate on just how bad can violence in video games affect our society.
I find it very interesting how video games such as Doom that are really old and bad with bad graphics have been historically prevalent before I was even born, because I don't think they would be popular enough or even put enough controversy out there in the media because enough people wouldn't play them to encourage such violent video game discourse. Because violence is not just present in directly shooting the demons in the game, it's present everywhere. As you have heard me say multiple times, you're in a dark red place in hell. You see Doom guy's face get more beat up and bloody the more he gets shot at, bitten. You are made fun of if you offer easier, less violent difficulty levels. And you get to see like the percent of mobs you have killed. You get to see how long it took you to kill and get through the level. And importantly, you just get fun out of doing all of this. There is no story, you only kill. Doom, again, is just a game where you get fun out of being violent, and this violence has plagued discourse on the FPS genre for decades now. Doom is seen as the godfather for the FPS genre, and we will most likely not have the current FPS scene without Doom. But while Doom let FPS games flourish, it also let discourse on video game violence flourish too. With how historically important it is, Doom can effectively be thus used as a marker for the rise in video game violence. We could look back at Wolfenstein 3D, but it just wasn't popular and well received enough as Doom for us to even use it. So since Doom is more popular, it is a better marker for discussion on the rise of violence in video games. So while playing this game, I would think, what differentiates me, a normal guy, biochem major, doing fun stuff, and a real life shooter, right? Because we're both getting joy out of playing this game. So we have seen how perpetrators of violence and how I love this game. We have heard it for a long time, and now many school shooters have been playing games such as Call of Duty. But did Doom make me violent? No, it didn't. I love people, and I do not like using guns in the real world. I can never imagine committing the atrocities that I did in this game. That would be disturbing. Playing this game, I still felt apart from reality. I knew it was fake and fiction. But while I continued to play it for the violence, I am not violent. I may have rage quit a couple of times because I could not get past the demons killing me in this difficulty level. But it's not too violent. It's not that violent. So while the game pushed violence in its gameplay, it didn't encourage me, a normal person, to be violent in the real world. But the genre has obviously grown and developed since Doom, and the games have gotten increasingly more realistic. We went from killing demons and bad graphics in dark dungeons in Doom, to even better graphics in newer installments of Doom, to killing actual people in increasingly more realistic video games, both mechanically, visually, and shooting wise. Like you actually have to aim now. And such examples would be Call of Duty, World War II, and Battlefield games. But there has been a correlation between the rise of violent video games and mass shootings. Just look at the Wikipedia. Look at how much are 2000s and up. Look how many mass shootings there are in the 90s. The argument that video games make people violent does seem attractive at a first glance. However, a lot has happened since Doom's initial release. America has greatly changed, and the issues of mental health have been increasing greatly since then. Sure, shooters might play violent video games, but they also eat cakes, you know? Like, is it the cakes that make them violent, or are they violent themselves? I think a lot of these shooters, they might play these video games, but they have a lot more environmental factors to turn them into the monsters that they are, such as wrecked home lives. So, are you telling me like a kid back in the 90s, a wimpy small kid playing Mortal Kombat can really have the strength or even the willpower to go like beat somebody up, like and finish them, you know? I just don't think they can. So my point here is that while games like Doom are very violent and have been increasingly more realistic since the 90s, they don't produce killers themselves. Millions of people play FPS games, right? And if it turned them violent, we'd all be dead. We'd gone. Some Call of Duty, like, boom. So I think it's unfair to heavily criticize games like Doom this way. And we should encourage the fact that while the FPS games might make people more aggressive, they do attract violent people. So overall, Doom is both a fun, amazing game, and it was also a great subject for research and discussion for the search of the FPS genre and the resultant discourse of video game violence. But while this game currently is not as realistic as the more recent FPS games, it definitely was realistic for those in the 90s who beforehand would just have like little sticks walking around the screen like this. No. So yes, I do not believe that this game encourages people to be murderers in real life, but I instead think this game should be appreciated for how important it was to video games as a whole and the history of video games.